what is this?
Yeah.
So it may not be just thinking about them. It could also, you can keep them out by creating a thinking that creates environments within your body, which is not going to attract them. Like
Basically, the root, what they are saying is
makes them
they
leave.
thrive on feeling, but you can think the opposite and maybe put them under control.
Yeah.
So thought controls them is what? That means consciousness controls them.
The positive thoughts.
Correct.
Yeah, like when you're feeling down and depressed, you allow yourself to get your immune system down, right? So
Correct.
that way.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
a very simple way of looking at it is a simple sensation of hot and cold. It may be hot, you felt, but by thinking, you may want to feel cold. If you're feeling very
that
hot,
is also
you
possible.
Yes.
That generally
Yes.
we do when we are taking cold water bath.
exactly. There's a very simple way of explaining this. There's a very simple way of
Correct.
explaining this.
I mean, I had that experience when I had gone to Ayodhya. I was there in December and वो चक्र तीर्थ है ना उसमें नहाने गए थे. अरे बाप रे, फॉरेस्ट में कितना पानी ठंडा रह सकता है उधर देख लिया. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The feeling caused by the action of elementals starts desire, which is as continuous as the sensations. Desire carries the impressions into the mental atmosphere. Desire carries the impressions into the mental atmosphere. It reaches that in the heart with which a portion of the thinker of the triune self is in contact. Desire, the active side of the doer, rushes to the passive side of the thinker, rightness. Desire, the active side of the doer, rushes to the passive side of the thinker, rightness.
Why is it going to the thinker? Because he is triggering that fellow. See,
because वो उसको अच्छा लगता है, so he triggers that.
And to balance that,
यहाँ पे पढ़िए एक और बार beginning से, because this is a very nice concept he is bringing in here. The feeling caused by the action of elements starts a desire, which is as continuous as the sensation. ठीक है. Desire carries the impressions into the mental atmosphere. It reaches that in the heart with which a portion of the thinker of the triune self is in contact. Correct? Heart के साथ ही तो आता है ना, तो आपका triune self का thinker.
Correct.
That is the reason why he is bringing the active side moving into the passive, because active and active will start fighting. Active of the doer will fight with the thinker, active side. So there will be a repulsion. तो यहाँ देखिए आगे पढ़िए.
Yes, sir. Through desire, the active side of the doer rushes to the passive side of the thinker, rightness. Through the heart, the blood and the nerves flows a stream of desires aroused by elementals. The desire comes from the psychic atmosphere with the intake of the breath and enters the heart.
You skipped a line.
Which one, sir?
No, it's okay.
Through the heart, the blood and nerves.
Yeah.
I read that, sir. I just now read that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read it again. Through the heart, the blood and the nerves flows a stream of desires aroused by elementals. The desire comes from the psychic atmosphere with the intake of the breath and enters the heart with arterial blood from the lungs. When the sensory nerves of the voluntary system are affected by feeling in the kidneys, they start the motor nerves connecting with the adrenals and reaching the heart. I'll read that again. When the sensory nerves of the voluntary system are affected by feeling in the kidneys, they start the motor nerves connecting with the adrenals and reaching the heart. With the nerve action, there is a flow of secretions from the adrenals to the heart. The motor nerves from the adrenals affect the sensory nerves of the heart, which belongs to rightness, the passive side of the thinker. The action causes a mild emotion of approval or disapproval, which is the response of rightness. If no action is taken against these impressions, feeling and desire begin to work some of the motor nerves of the heart and lungs belonging to the thinker. And these communicate back to the sensory nerves of the voluntary system in the kidneys, which belong to the doer. Some of the nerves of the lungs, which belong to reason, the active side of the thinker, are then concerned with the feeling. The flow from feeling and desire of the doer to rightness and reason of the thinker and back to feeling, that is from the kidneys and adrenals to the heart and lungs and back to the kidneys, is passive thinking. Passive thinking is, do I stop or continue, sir?
No, continue.
Actually, to me, this sounds kind of on the lighter side, a totally mechanical engine going forth.
Exactly.
It's a cause
So
effect.
actually-
I mean, even if
Right.
approve or disapprove,
actually
if
a
you
triangle.
don't do anything also, it
See-
will continue to affect.
Exactly.
See, it is part of that triangle, thinking, feeling, doing. Right?
Right.
Desire is equal to doing. The feeling. So desire will trigger the first shot. And thereafter it becomes a nuclear fission. There is no sequence. But that cycle will keep on going. That becomes a closed circuit loop.
Correct.
Sir, in this
घूम रहा
case,
है,
we
घूम
can
रहा है,
take
घूम
it
रहा
as
है।
a
हाँ?
And the way he describes it,
circulation. Sir, वो स्कूल में पढ़ाया था ना blood circulation का. If you can, imagine that how it goes and this trigger, this goes, this gas. So, we can correlate with that.
हाँ. No, but here it is a circle. वहां पे क्या है? It is a ellipse of two circumstances.
So heart and the kidneys are involved for, I mean, whenever there is a desire. Is that what they are
Sir.
saying?
No, it's like this. See, desire is the doer. Correct? He is part of the desire and feeling are owned by doer.
Right.
Where is the doer sitting?
No, but that is the doer, right? Feeling and desire.
Correct. But where are they connected? They are connected to the kidney and adrenal. Okay, then the thinker is connected to the heart.
Heart and the nervous system.
Only heart. He is connected to the heart, and thinker has got the active and passive, which is the reason and rightness.
Right.
And the third element that is touching us is the triune self ka tisra, which is the knower. Knower is touching the pineal gland and pituitary gland.
Right.
So one will upset the other anyway, because the capability of the thinking and the knowing, right? These two entities are in touch with the doer, and through the doer only they function.
Right.
They live there, but they will come, touch and go, but they have loaned their activity completely to, it is outsourced to doer.
Yeah.
Their capabilities are outsourced to the doer. As long as they are inside the body. Till they go and join the triune self, that is what happens. Correct. So let us proceed.
Passive thinking is the play of desire and mind. That is to say, the play of desire in the light of the intelligence, which is diffused in a part of the mental atmosphere. It is a haphazard, purposeless, unintentional, random thinking which fills nearly all the waking hours of the run of human beings. It is produced by pictures, sounds, tastes, orders, and contacts which strike the four senses, and by elementals which enter the openings of the body. It goes on without sequence, without reasoning, and it changes with each new impression that comes into the body. By this flaccid and aimless thinking, a little of the light that is found in the mental atmosphere is drawn off into nature by elements. Sorry, I'll just read that again. By this flaccid and aimless thinking, a little of the light that is found in the mental atmosphere is drawn off into nature by elementals as they leave through the openings. Only feeling and desire are concerned in this kind of thinking. Passive thinking leaves impressions on the breath form. When these become strong enough, a different kind of thinking is started. When an impression is marked distinctly and deeply enough, it suggests the subject of thought for which it stands. If this is in accord with reason, reason directs light of the intelligence on the subject of thought. Can we discuss this portion?
Yes, Lord. See, what is he saying? First of all, he is explaining the passive thinking. What is passive thinking?
Is
Okay.
aimless
See, what-
think are the
What we
same?
do most of the time, what we do most of the time without a purpose, we think, right? They have for
Correct.
the beta waves. This is what is called passive thinking. And this is the kind of thinking always goes on running in the mind. We say
Correct.
we don't silence the mind, right? That is what passive thinking
As
is all
and when
about.
we, like as and when we see something or something, whatever thoughts keep coming and going.
Vinay, whatever
Right.
input you take from
Any
your
associated.
senses,
Hmm.
whatever we take from the senses of the body triggers this passive thinking. We don't do that. It is actually not something that is driving an action.
Hmm.
And that is sitting, right? And what is happening by virtue of this? Whatever little wisdom we have also might be going out because of the elementals taking them away.
Hmm.
Okay? So when that wisdom out of it, the information out of it is going out, it only leaves behind two things, which is the feeling and desire.
Hmm.
So this one only manifests as a feeling and desire, this kind of passive thinking.
This is the what
That
is
is,
called
correct me
daydreaming.
if I am missing something.
No. What I'm just adding, this is what causes daydreaming.
This is
Means-
daydreaming.
Daydreaming without purpose. This is what is called as the Walter Mitty effect,
Correct,
Hmm.
according to James Server. Right.
correct. Right. Now what is it affecting? Because it is this one, the breath is involved in the patterning, right?
Hmm.
So this pattern that it is leaving is on the breath form. Because it is, your thinking is influencing the shape of what you are seeing.
Hmm.
When these become strong enough, a different kind of thinking is started,
Hmm.
right? For example, you are daydreaming about an incident and out of which suddenly a story may be born.
So, sir, for example,
Yeah.
this movie called Fan,
Correct.
that guy who behaves like Shahrukh Khan. So that's the impression which he carries into the breath form and becomes so distinct that he himself thinks that he is Shahrukh Khan and goes and does all those weird things.
Correct. Right. So
Weird thing.
when an impression, sir, you're saying something?
No, I just was amused by the word weird there. They do weird things. Yes.
Yeah. When an impression is marked distinctly and deeply enough, it suggests the subject of thought for which it stands.
Hmm.
Correct? All thoughts are culminating into a particular subject. If this is in accord with the reason किसका ओनरशिप में है?
थिंकर के ओनरशिप में.
Thinker के ओनरशिप में. Now he is able to direct the light of intelligence on the subject of thought. That is what is getting the visibility, correct?
So in our matter, when we try and understand that yes, we are God and we are so powerful that we can go into in emptiness and try and understand ourselves, that's an impression which created into a breath form, and we start thinking in that line, and then
Correct.
the reason, that's what the reason directs the light of intelligence into our subject of going inside.
No,
And it helps us to
your thinking
understand.
has gone, Mishra ji, your thinking has gone so deep that a new thought has come.
Right? Yes.
That new thought is attracting all the energy and it is meeting the logical functioning.
Correct. Maybe वही
The
कह रहा हूँ.
moment
That's what I
it
was saying.
meets that logical this one, then the intelligence, the reason part, the is that the active part. Correct?
And then the journey of enlightenment starts.
Correct. No, not just enlightenment. हाँ, the I-ness. अभी आपका wisdom कितना है वो आ रहा है. The knower and
Correct.
the I-ness of the knower is a witness to the thinking.
Means he's aware that he's of his thought also.
No, he is
Correct.
he is able to observe what it is. Probably he is now going to start looking at the association of the selfness and the I-ness and self, right?
Selfness.
I-ness and
I-ness
selfness. These are the two
Yes.
entities.
So is there anywhere any suggestion or a link that can establish like a possession by the devil, or Ammavaru Ollo Kuchindi, or some of those? Because when one thinks that he is Ammavaru, he is doing something that is commonly not achievable also. Intensive thinking causes.
He is taking us there. Just wait.
Is that
He's
what he's
taking us
talking
there.
about?
The I-ness of the knower is a witness to the thinking. Thus,
No, I'm not
as-
sure that is always true. I'm not sure it is always true. That in certain circumstances, yes. Okay. But look at from what he says here, when your thinking you actually start thinking and it deeply suggests a particular topic. This way it is progressive thinking. For example, scientific discoveries. Okay. These things come across this kind of thinking. To some extent, even your creativity comes out of this kind of thing. You start thinking, your thinking becomes direct towards a particular subject, right? So this subject could be some kind of achievement. Progressive, human progression, like scientific thought, comes from this. What you say is about delusion, that is also possible. This there where if
No, in
you
fact,
go into-
what he's saying about Kala Jadoo, somebody
Kala
was
Jadoo.
doing that.
correct.
So that's
That is
also,
that is
Yes.
also possible because you are thinking along that line. But I think
Sir,
here
actually,
what you mostly refer
I
to
think
scientific-
both are possible. The
Yes.
distinction can be drawn by the light of intelligence.
intelligence, exactly.
Are you getting? Because
I got it.
one is under the influence of the emotion. Ignorance and emotion together will produce one entity. The other entity is his ability to throw light upon that. So my faith will be ruled by the extent to which I have the faith. My wisdom, my light of intelligence is going to be the discriminating factor. This happens
No, I
with us
think-
even in our fear. We are
I
doing
think that
something
is what it
intently and
is.
suddenly somebody comes and touches us.
Yes.
So
Right?
isn't it what we read, rightness and reason? Then it comes the I-ness and selfness. So the way you predict,
No, now,
that's the way
see,
you
that
will.
is where you stand. Sir, I-ness is not identity, right?
I-ness is
I-ness
identity.
is that-
Selfness is
Selfness
no,
is non, selfness is identity. I-ness
I-ness
is
is
the feeling of the
active part, the oneness.
self.
the
oneness.
knowledge.
Yes,
No, no.
oneness.
I-ness is knowledge.
I-ness is
It's
knowledge
like
of
being
what?
aware,
Of the
being
triune self.
aware of you being there.
No, our awareness, sir, knowledge in terms of our awareness.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct. And selfness is the other
The
side
knower
of
is
it,
that,
which is
right?
the
Being
active
aware.
side. Active side is the identity, the ego. Yeah, Priya ma'am, you're saying something?
No, that's what I said. The knower side basically is that awareness of your own self, right? That
Correct.
you're there. Huh.
Is it?
The
Is
self,
it awareness of self, or is it something that you think you are? I am. That means I am Ramakrishna, but I think I am Sri Ram.
no,
I am. That's the sentence he used in the.
Sir, that's the
Sir,
difference
that is
between
done by
I-ness
your
and selfness.
conviction.
sensing
Yeah.
that self in the
Sir,
body,
whether
like
what you are is your conviction,
Yeah, right.
right?
So
What
that-
you believe that you are is the one that is getting manifested as your conviction.
right. So
Right?
how that conviction comes?
That's
to
what I'm
me-
coming to that. Now, why are you convinced?
Because of my intense thinking.
No,
My
but
purposeless
what is it
thinking
that
is
is
not
enabling that
you.
thinking?
Feeling, that feeling comes in, that's when you get convinced.
That feeling, that trust, that
Yeah.
knowledge. I have seen it earlier. So you have digested that as part of your knowledge.
Yeah.
That knowledge is the manifestation of the light of intelligence,
Right.
which you are aware of. Correct, sir?
Correct.
Take this, sir?
Yes, yes,
Is
yes,
that
that's right.
correct?
It's really good. Correct.
Right. So now if we proceed on the same lines, when the impression is marked distinctly and deeply enough, it suggests the subject of thought for which it stands. This is where the for which it stands is the one that is giving you the conviction.
The belief.
If this is in accord with the reason, if it is logical, reason directs light of intelligence on the subject of thought.
hmm,
The I-ness of the knower is a witness to that thinking. Thus, passive thinking may induce and compel active thinking,
yes.
right? Clear, sir?
Absolutely right. Yes.
Correct. So the motor nerves of the voluntary nervous system in the heart and lungs act on the sensory nerves in the pituitary body and cerebellum. And the motor nerves from the hemisphere of the cerebellum react to the sensory nerves in the heart, which start again the motor nerves in the heart and lungs.
Heart and lungs,
Again.
So that process is again starting now.
back and forth. Hmm.
Correct. हाँ, अभी आगे का पढ़िए प्रिया जी. By
Yes,
this,
sir.
Can I just one add thing? When
Yes, sir.
we have to be a little careful when you interpret the word reason here. I always keep thinking word creates problems here. The way he used the word here, reason, is the knower, the intellectual reason, the intelligent reason. Because
Correct.
reason, if you translate it as logic, it can become a problem.
sir,
a
no, but the
classic-
outcome is reason. Outcome of that is it is in a sequence.
No. Correct. What I'm saying is, here reason should be understood correctly, like you said, as the intelligence part of the thing. But quite often, when in everyday parlance, when we say reason, we translate to logic,
Yeah,
and
that
logic
is
can be
different.
based on any premise. See, a premise. Look, a classic example, if you know how people like Descartes try to prove the existence of God. is so ridiculous if that they reason, and people may believe that reason. But if you look at really, it's very ridiculous, but it is logical, right?
Huh.
That's it. So we should be very careful about how
Here,
we do what we do.
actually, that is why when we read the light of intelligence and we bring in the component of knower, right?
Then only,
He
yes,
is
then it
the
makes sense.
active side of it.
Yes,
See,
Yes.
reason is the passive side and rightness is the active side. Reason is driving. So, rightness is the one that is going to,
also,
well, both of them are coming from the triune self, loaned to doer in the body. But they don't directly act on the body.
correct.
And this one, if we start reading that Annie Besant's book, our comprehension increases. Actually, C.W. Leadbeater ka ek kitab hai, sir, 32 pages. Okay, but very tough to understand. Not straightforward. We have to draw pictures in our mind to understand. That one in combination of Annie Besant and Leadbeater's books, we will be able to comprehend more. This one, he actually, Leadbeater ka book is talking about dreams. Why do we get dreams? Where are we getting dreams from? It's a beautiful explanation. That is why he says the 7 planes that we went through are the ones that vary in density of the particles in them. And through that passes all these elements that we are talking of. There he talks about 7 elements. This entire Theosophical Society, they very clearly write, whether it is religion or otherwise, interpretation is built on the theme of 7. You have 7 parts of the universe, you have got 7 parts in the body, you have got 7 chakras, everything 7 keeps coming slowly. So let us proceed, then we will come to that. Yeah.
Chandra Garu, I think in
Yes.
figures 4B, he explained in the figures 4B,
Huh.
how our, the balanced and not balanced, the differences.
That is the manifested, unmanifested, and balance.
Yeah, but he explained ordinary person governed by experiency, then nature impressions control feeling, feeling arouses desire, desire ignores rightness, enforces the reason, and desire has its way.
Correct.
Yes.
Then in government by law and justice, rightness guides feeling, which prompts desire, desire agrees with reason. Then feeling and desire are controlled by rightness and reason. So when they are balanced.
Correct. But here he is taking us to the next level also. He has brought in the I-ness and selfness also, which is
from
part
the
of the
knower.
knower.
From the knower, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So, Priya ma'am, back to you.
Yes, sir.
By this continuous.
By this continuing process, certain thinking on the subject of thought is urged on by desire, and an effort is made to focus light. This is active thinking. I'll read again. By this continuing process, certain thinking on the subject of thought is urged on by desire, and an effort is made to focus light. This is active thinking. It continues for a short time only, is intermittent, and is the effort to hold the diffused conscious light of the intelligence steadily on a given subject of thought. Through active thinking, thoughts are produced by the union of desire and an impression of nature with light of the intelligence. Through active
So
thinking,
here you
thoughts
need these 3 elements.
Thoughts are produced by the union of desire and an impression of nature with light of the intelligence.
No, but what
In
kind?
past-
Through active thinking, that means it is a continuous process. You are giving more and more energy in the, because you have already reasoned it out.
Hmm.
and you have accepted that reasoning
Hmm.
in practice. Here I am talking the logical reasoning, sir. Acceptance of the reasoning.
Correct.
Right. Now, once it is accepted, that means these three entities, the balance is shifting now. You have accepted, so the knower is getting balanced. The knower is getting balanced, and that means that balance means that is accepted. Once that is accepted, it is coming through the feeling and desire as well as rightness and reason. It is getting more and more energy from there, and it is moving towards a firm shape. It is acquiring the shape that it is the thought triggered. That is what he is bringing here. In passive thinking, आगे बढ़िए.
Yes, sir. In passive thinking, thinking merely plays in the light. But by active thinking, the light is sought to be held on the subject of thought.
That means you are getting now, interestingly, what Deepak Chopra writes in one of the book is about this. See, he talks about spiritual solutions, and he talks about awareness having 3 stages. Interestingly, when you start focusing like this, you have got your awareness becomes very contracted, very intense. It is just like that moment that the tigress or lioness has frozen its eyesight on its prey. So it doesn't look at any of the others. It is only interested in that prey. Like that, we direct our attention towards that thought, provided it has all. So probably, sir, the other thing now I am getting to is, this is also representing the critical layer in the thinking process of
You're
the
perfectly
conscious
right.
mind.
No. See, what we are doing right now,
Correct.
the discourse, the way we are discussing though, is precisely an example of that.
Correct.
This is what we are moving in, which is
Correct.
I guess very passive thinking. Okay, you just
Correct.
excited by reading the book, which is very different
Correct.
from what we are doing right now. This is a
Which is
classic
the
example
active
of what
thinking.
is
Which
that's
is
what
the
it's called.
active thinking.
Exactly.
Correct. Wonderful example. Can't be better than that. Yeah. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
So
In passive
thinking, sir,
In passive thinking, thinking merely plays in the light, but by active thinking, the light is sought to be held on the subject of thought. During this effort, a thought is conceived when light unites with desire, that is, with the subject of thought. The union is made in a point of nature matter, which has been carried by desire into the mental atmosphere. The union is made in a point of nature matter, which has been carried by desire into the mental atmosphere.
so
The
what does this
union
mean? What does this mean? The pattern is now acquiring a shape. The pattern that the desire initially created is now fed with more and more aligned thoughts. Like in one of the manifestation book, they say all thoughts which are alike, they get aggregated. That process is what he is explaining here. That's what my understanding is.
Aggregated, provide they are aligned.
Only aligned will get aggregated, otherwise it will get
Yes.
diffused.
Yes.
Right? That means the intent, that entire group, suppose each of us is one element of the thought, we are all now getting aligned to accepting or rejecting the proposal here.
Yes, correct.
So
Correct.
same way now, like we chose to conduct this book club session. You gave us a time, our thoughts aligned, and we came for the, at 9:15, we are here.
Correct. True.
That's the doer part of the thinking. Yes.
That is beautiful.
Correct.
Right. But by active thinking, ma'am, aage badhiye.
Yes, sir. During this effort, yeah, I think we did this. The union, this also finished. Union can occur only when light is sufficiently focused. And this happens at the moment between the inbreathing and the outbreathing of the physical breath, at which time all the breaths are in phase.
Beautiful.
I'll read
See,
it once
so
more.
now let us repeat from impassive thinking slowly.
Yes, sir. In passive thinking, thinking merely plays in the light. But
That
by
means he is only
active
still
thinking-
toying out. He is still toying out what is that idea.
But by active thinking, the light is sought to be held on the subject of thought. Either I'm getting a different example, like wo railway station, you know, you are waiting for a particular train. You have all these announcements going, no? So you're taking in the sounds which are going on. So they are announcing different trains which are not yours. So you are not literally, like, you're not really paying attention to it. You're just like allowing that sounds to come in and go. But the minute you suddenly start paying attention to the announcement, then it's like then it's your train, so you start focusing and paying full attention to it.
Correct.
Unlike
Now,
the
this
unlike the
happens in
other announcements which
conversations
didn't
also.
take your.
Correct.
So here again, that light, what the association I'm seeing is like that light of the intelligence. Now, what is coming from additional or external source, like what you're looking, it's like the directions being given by the station people. Okay.
That is
So
one
the
possibility.
directions are being given. So directions are being given. Some directions I'm not paying attention to. But a particular direction that comes, I pay attention to it, and I pay attention to that particular subject of that announcement.
Yeah, this is very similar to what
So I am
happens in our
taking, so I
conversation.
am taking the instructions being given at some point
No.
by the light of the intelligence.
No,
Here the
you are
light
not
of the
taking
station.
the instruction. You are accepting that. For example, in a
Yeah, so
conversation,
paying
generally,
attention to it.
that's what. So in a conversation,
then
generally what
using or not-
happens, see, there is a general gossip going on. Okay. Now you also land up in that crowd. Hey, wait a minute. Can you repeat what you just said? Right? This is one such occasion that he is saying. Can you repeat what you just said? Now we have a solution for the other problem, which has been going in my mind, but I got the solution here. Like that, it goes that way. Beautiful.
So what
Yes.
One conversation
what
I
I'm
can
saying
add
is-
in this. Sometimes it happens, you know, you're talking to somebody, but you're not paying attention. The moment your name comes, your whole mind goes into that, isn't it?
Quite
What you
possible.
said? You took my name? That conversation comes and you just
So
pay
any
attention.
one of
to
them, see, all of these are
Here,
triggers,
what
but
I'm
the
adding-
process, if you think about it from the thinking process, the thinking, feeling, desire, that entire process of the knower, doer, and the correct, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, this process is making a lot of sense.
So to just what I was telling with that example was also like there is a direction being given from an external source, from a higher source who knows what's happening, like your station master or whoever's sending those announcements. So at some of them you're not paying attention to. Some of them you're putting your attention on, the focus on, and it becomes the subject matter of your current thinking. And
True.
you're also aware as a knower of where you stand at that point of time. So if it's telling me it's coming on this particular platform, then the thinking part of me, I first have to be aware where I am. And the thinker part of me is also looking at how do I get to the other place which is being announced, or what is that action I need to take to get to that point where it's being announced and things like that. So similarly, I can see the connection, like how it's being given here, no? Where the passive things suddenly start once you get into a focus of a subject, then the active thinking also starts happening, because now you have to start figuring out what I'm
So
going to
then
do
that
about it,
process.
how I'm going to go forward, how do I go to that particular platform, do I go from this side, the stairs
So,
there.
ma'am, in that
Action
case,
starts
the
taking
kidney adrenaline that triggers, no? So it gives you an action. This is what I can correlate right now.
So the trigger happens within, in the different parts of the thinking and the feeling, and
See,
that gets converted
what
into
we need
action.
to take cognizance, what we need to take cognizance, this one can manifest in multiple paths, but what we need to add to our awareness is this process. This process is very critical. If you sit and analyze, you will get the process. You will be able to repeat this process in our day-to-day experiences. Sir, anything to add?
No, nothing.
Yeah, आगे बढ़ेंगे.
Union can occur only when the light is sufficiently focused. And this happens at the moment between the in-breathing and the out-breathing of the physical breath, at which time all the breaths are in phase. Desire comes into the heart impressed with getting or avoiding an act, and avoiding an act, an object, or an event. This desire is the subject of the thought, and it has in it nature matter of the physical world furnished by the senses of the body. This desire is the subject of the thought, and it has in it nature matter of the physical world furnished by the senses of the body. The desire itself is matter of the psychic atmosphere. Rightness and reason allow the drawing in of the matter of the mental atmosphere, and the knower allows the drawing in of matter of the noetic atmosphere. Then there is the light of the intelligence. Continue.
Beautiful.
This is perfect and well understood.
Yes.
Everyone on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Okay, चलो आगे बढ़ते.
Okay. Therefore, when a thought is conceived in the heart, it has in it actually matter of all the worlds, of all the atmospheres of the triune self, and the light of the intelligence. Kanchan, you're muted. We can't hear
I'm
you.
reading along with you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I saw your lips moving. I thought you were saying something. Okay, therefore, when a thought is conceived in the heart, it has in it actually matter of all the worlds, of all the atmospheres of the triune self, and the light of the intelligence. It is further potentially a structure, which though yet non-existent, will accord later with the systems of the three factors of which it is composed. It has further potentially a structure, which though yet non-existent, will accord later with the systems of the three factors of which it is composed. Okay. The desire is no longer desire, but is a part of a new entity, and can therefore, when it is united to light, ascend in the body to regions to which it cannot go as desire. The desire is no longer desire, but is a part of a new entity, and can therefore, when it is united to light, ascend in the body to regions to which it could not go as desire.
So it is going as something beyond desire. It has got transformed.
So it is transformed to a form.
It becomes an acquisition. It becomes an
Yeah, it
acquisition.
becomes
Exactly.
acquisition. Exactly. कार खरीदने का मन था, पैसा लोन लिया, कार खरीद लिया. So desire is finished.
No, desire has taken the next dimension.
Next
The
level.
shape,
Yeah,
exactly.
The newly conceived thought goes by the joint action of the blood, the breath, and the nerves in both systems to the cerebellum. There, the thought is gestated for a short or for a long time. Then it passes into the cerebrum and into the ventricles of the brain, where it is elaborated and matured. Finally, it is born, and sent forth through the frontal sinuses at a point above the nose.
Yeah.
I'll just read that once more. The
Yeah,
newly
I think
conceived
once
thought,
again. Yeah.
yeah, the newly conceived thought goes by the joint action of the blood, the breath, and the nerves in both systems.
That is
to the
very
cerebellum.
clear.
When you say both systems, what do you mean by both systems? here?
Non-voluntary and voluntary system, both.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nerves ka dono hai na?
Got it. And the nerves in both systems to the cerebellum. There, the thought is gestated for a short or for a long time. So it's
Actually,
kept there
what
for
is
some time
happening
or for a
there?
long time.
Right? It is going and sitting in.
Cerebellum, unless the nature matter is connected, it still sits there. When the nature matter connected, it flows down
No.
to the ventricles.
See, here, what is happening is, it is now the tuggle, the knower ka tug of war chal raha hai.
Karu na karu, lu na lu.
So, sir, cerebellum is meant for that memory and all, if I'm not wrong. Chota dimag.
Cerebellum is your, I think the
Chota
frontal
dimag.
lobe. It is not cerebellum.
Cerebellum likha hai na, to the cerebellum.
Cerebellum, B-E-R-U-M.
So, वो
नहीं,
fourth
नहीं,
line
पहला, first it's cerebellum, then it's
second
cerebrum.
line
sir.
में cerebellum है.
See, cerebellum तो ये है आपका जहाँ से आपका
छोटा दिमाग.
ये joint between the nerves.
Ma'am, वो cerebellum
And
इसलिए
the
because it
brain.
will flow into the nerves again, na. Once
So,
it is
medulla
matured,
oblongata के पास वाला is the cerebellum, na?
Correct.
What?
Where the
What did you say, Kanchan?
where your nervous
Medulla
system,
oblongata.
where
The
your
beginning of the
nervous
spinal
system
cord.
is meeting the brain.
From where the spinal cord originates.
Correct.
Starts there.
It's basically the cerebellum is your back of the head. So that controls
That's
all your
what it is at the
movements and,
joint of the neck and the neck के यहाँ पे तो उनका आपका junction है ना. And the brain component, the ventricles of the brain, and that of the your ida, pingala, and all those nervous systems and all. ये वहां पे दिखा रहा है.
See, we don't want to have to make much issue about this.
Correct.
Because both the cerebellum and cerebrum are required issue over here. The cerebra or the cerebrum is actually in common parlance is what makes you cogitate. Okay, cerebellum is where the information is there and which you regurgite. That's why to say, okay, cerebellum is there and cerebrum is active. In that sense, we don't have to make much issue. Just think about brain, as we know. Okay, if you want to understand, just think about brain. That's it.
Correct.
yes, sir.
Then it passes into the ventricles
Then
of
it
the
passes. Yeah. So there the thought that is in the cerebellum, it is gestated for a short or for a long time. Then it passes into the cerebrum and into the ventricles of the brain, where it is elaborated and matured.
Which
There
is what
the
I
more
meant.
thinking
Cerebellum
happens.
is stored. Which is
There
what I
the
meant.
more-
Cerebellum is where you store, cerebrum is thinking. It takes active part. That's
So
right.
from
Because
the
both are together. Yes.
from the physical part, it goes into the mental area.
brain.
Because cerebellum is more of the physical movement controlling, right? And then cerebrum is
Yes.
also got
Yes,
thinking
yes,
and
yes.
thinking involved. Yeah. Finally, it is born and sent forth through the frontal sinuses at a point above the nose. Not only elementals and one's own thoughts, but thoughts from other persons enter through the openings and nerve centers in the body.
Yeah, this is a very important part. I think you should pay attention to this.
Exactly.
We
It's a very
absorb
important
from others also, even through
Yes.
our auras. By whatever gate elementals enter, they cannot go farther than the adrenals.
I don't know.
The last thing they do is to leave their impress on desire before it starts towards the heart. It is different from thoughts from others. They go beyond the adrenals and enter the heart itself, because in them is the light of an intelligence. In the heart, they are either approved or disapproved by rightness. Let's just discuss this 1 minute. Not only element, okay, other things enter. So, however elementals enter,
See,
they
you
cannot
have
go
released
further.
it
Okay.
from
So
your
the
nose.
elementals can go only up to adrenals, but the what you get from others, thoughts from others, goes beyond that to the heart. There they are either approved or disapproved.
Correct. See, that is where your feeling about it, your information about it, all these, right? How मेरे लिए क्या है? Yes, मेरे को भी कुछ चाहिए, मेरा क्या है? All those things are happening in the heart. That decision-making process is going on in the heart. Once you accept it, then you are in a position, you are prepared to either move it or reject it. So your desire, all these things will get balanced in that process. You will revisit them, and your decision is going to be in fine-tune with what your takeaways or your value system is going to be, again broken down to the same thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Basically, how you are influenced by the outside, how you use the influence of the outside.
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
Banana. Yes. If they are disapproved, they are expelled through one of the openings with the outward breath. If they are approved, or if rightness suffers desire to have its way, they are entertained in the heart and then pass on to the cerebellum, as does a newly conceived thought. In the brain, they can be nourished, weakened, or slightly modified. Their aim cannot be changed, but their design can be varied. They are issued through the frontal sinuses like thoughts that are newly born. Thoughts of one's own return to him from time to time. Once a thought has
Thoughts
been,
of one's own.
Yeah.
Thoughts of one's own return to him from time to time. Once a thought has been conceived, gestated and issued, it remains in the mental atmosphere of the one who created it. It circulates in the atmosphere and may re-enter the body from time to time.
बड़ा dangerous है ये तो.
It enters through the breath and does not again pass through the lower stages of thinking by which it became a thought. This ends
Because it
the
has already
description-
gone beyond the thought level.
This ends the description of the generation of a thought, which may be the conception, gestation, and birth of one's own thought, or the reception, entertainment, and issue of a thought generated by someone else or by oneself in the past.
Okay, so this is how, which remains,
That's all
and it
here.
may come back.
So, sir,
This is
A thought
defining the
came.
entire sequence of what we explain as karma, and what he says, thought is your destiny.
so does
Yeah,
it mean what I'm understanding? Just make me clear on this. So it is like a thought came, but I did not put much of energy into it, but it is there into my mind. Okay, that thought is still there. Okay, so when again it could come and repeat. If I put that, that thought comes again. Yes, I thought about this thing earlier, but I did not put a energy into it, so that did not manifest or it did not happen. Is it mean that?
Okay, the best example I can give, how many of you are following this Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case? Pirates
That's just
of
a
the
popular
Caribbean
channel.
hero is Johnny Depp.
I know.
His recent wife is Amber Heard, right? She has issued so many statements, and then she wants to destroy this guy. Okay? And it comes to a stage where Johnny Depp files a defamation case.
Hmm.
She wrote an article which was published in the tabloid Sun, and
Hmm.
a single man as the judge decided in favor of the tabloid, and as a result, Johnny lost his case. Then
Female.
now the same case with a different dimension, because she went on harassing him, he files a defamation case and he wins in the US court, where the judge and a 7-man jury decide the case. 7 people have decided and unanimously ruled in favor of Johnny Depp. Right? Now what is happening? If you watch the interviews that are going on, that fellow has moved on. But this lady is not accepting her defeat. Now she is still reeling under the past thought only, that she has been wronged, whereas it has been very clearly established that what every single evidence she created was a fake. Okay, these people have proven it. So now what has happened? She has one line of thinking. The thought that she has been wronged is coming back to her. And she's moving forward with that thought as the background. That is the key driver for her. She is not willing to accept that changed scenario, that the data that she is having and her conviction do not match.
Is not aligned.
Correct. Right? That is the perfect example I can think of. Okay. So basically, if you want, we will read it again to validate.
Thoughts of
We
one's
ये पैरा
own.
पढ़ेंगे एक बार thoughts of
हाँ,
one's own.
Thoughts of one's own return to him from time to time. Once a thought has been conceived, gestated, and issued, it remains in the mental atmosphere of the one who creates it, who created it. It circulates in the atmosphere and may re-enter the body from time to time. It enters through the breath and does not again pass through the lower stages of thinking by which it became a thought. This ends the description of the
Now,
generation.
एक minute.
Yes, sir.
See, now, see, it is not going to the lower end where that can still be evaluated against rightness, wrongness, and all. All that is gone. You have concluded that you have been wronged, and she is continuing to harp on the same thing, not accepting the change scenario, not reprocessing the entire part of it.
So your thought also kind of becomes your reality when it re-enters. It's like
Exactly.
it's already
And
established.
see, here what is happening is it is becoming an accepted reality to the extent that you have given it light. It may not be the light that everybody is sharing. You are unique. Your unique wisdom is dictating that factor.
So your openness will decide whether you make it like a firm reality that you want change, or you're looking at it again, taking a different shape.
Correct.
So I'll just add it a little less dramatically. This is the thing that what
Correct.
happens to all of us. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. That's the word that is used.
Correct.
For example, let us say you have gone through whole thought process, and then other thoughts have come in, gestated, modified, and you have acquired something like you have bought a car, let us say. So you have bought a particular car and you're happy with it, but your mind may still be of the earlier thought. Maybe, maybe I should have bought that something else rather than this. Or I have made a particular choice. Let us say I have gone to a particular university instead of this. Then I keep thinking, maybe that thought, the original thought, maybe I should have gone to other use, still keeps lurking. So it's not necessarily always, depressive or tragic, like in the case of this Johnny Depp case. Normally, this is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. you're still,
Sir,
you have,
actually, can't you add one more flavor to it?
yeah,
Now, in a group, we are discussing something,
right.
okay? You have given your input, everyone has given, but one single guy is sifted in the group. Right? He is so sifted that others have gone against him and then taken a unanimous decision, otherwise, other than him, and they have implemented that particular decision. Right?
Correct.
Now, when he gets an opportunity, the same thought will come back to him. I told you guys not to do that.
And that, not only to others, he will talk for himself. That's what
Correct. Correct. No, he will
That's
do
what-
it and then he will show his upmanship. Saying, I
That's
told
right.
you people not to take this path. Abhi laga diya na? Chalo, let all of us suffer. Right? That is also something which is following the same pattern.
All is basically, yes, what he's trying to say is, though a thought goes through a lot of process, uses others people, is gestated, then matures and comes out in action, but still your original thought still lurks somewhere there behind.
Because of your
Especially the-
attachment to that thought. See,
Yes.
the
So,
back-
Yes.
no,
so
the
every
background
time-
to it is, huh?
every time the brain start judging, evaluating, and doing all that dramas.
No, that is true. But because of your thinking, for example, if I am the original creator of something, you come and tell me something that is better also, my attachment to what I have created is such that I will negate you.
So it's all about how you created your emotions, and you are too much attached, too much judgmental. Your
End of the
emotions.
day, that is where he is leading us. He is also telling you, your emotion is going to play a role. And he is giving you the process behind it in terms of the thought.
Does this mean that the original thought stays in our subconscious mind?
Quite often.
Yes.
Quite often. But it may disappear, it may gradually disappear when you change yourself. See,
Yeah.
there are quite often we change completely, right?
No, they
This
are
is what the
going to
concept
be
of
in one portion of the memory
That's-
where, see, for example, in one of the book when we were reading, me and Anup had a discussion that when we are thinking or when we are driving along the road, actually everything is getting registered in the brain.
Yes.
Every single incident is getting registered, but your recall capability is not there.
Only when somebody passes through, when you recognize that person.
Correct. So, but it doesn't mean that you did not see the black and blue painted car that went by, because you are not focused on that, but it is somewhere registered. Hey, this one, I think I saw this car somewhere. Uske baad mein wo yaad aata hai.
Yeah.
Right? So all that, this was the argument we were having. And then we came to the conclusion that he said he had spoken to a number of psychologists, leading psychologists, and they said that this doesn't go into the memory and all that. I said, okay, let us agree to disagree and leave it there. But this is giving us, so that recording of the subconscious mind or any part of the memory, it is going to be there. Are you able to recall it or not is the second matter.
Yeah.
That is firing the neurons and all that, and all those sequences will come into picture.
The access to.
Right.
get it
Our
now.
brain is more intelligent than us, what we think of. It registered everything, but we never give up attention or never.
No. It is not that. It is your attention that is most important.
Yeah.
Your, yeah.
No,
That
one
is
is
why-
attention, one
That is
is
why during the exams, we put more focus, more attention.
Actually, there's a very
who is the
interesting.
one who actually retains everything? It is not the one with the contracted awareness. In Dr. Deepak Chopra's words, he says that you have got contracted awareness, expanded awareness, and pure awareness.
Hmm.
The one who is able to raise his consciousness to pure awareness, he is the one who will be able to take cognitive, he will be able to recall everything. Sir, you are saying something.
No. Sorry, at the moment I forget. This was in connection of what you are saying at the moment.
That
Similarly.
Deepak Chopra's incident. Contracted
Yes.
awareness, expanded awareness, and total awareness and pure awareness, he says.
Correct. No.
Sir,
So,
एग्जाम में
therefore-
वो जो
Yeah, go ahead.
सर एग्जाम में वो जो लोग पूरा रट्टा मार के आते हैं ना, they remember word by word.
Let them forget one word. Let them see whether they progress.
But it doesn't stay, in the understanding.
Yes.
It's only the words that are memorized.
Just for
Correct. And one word in the sequence forgotten, the rest
Ah.
that follows.
From the beginning again. Yeah.
so
In fact, so I'm proud to say what I always tell my students is, you just don't try to remember whatever I tell you. When even estimation method, software, etc., they don't matter, because when you go back to a job, things would have changed completely. If you can use what you are learning now, to improve your thinking process, that is what is important. You should be able to find solution. You should be able to think. Unfortunately, if you notice, say, I've decided to bring this here. Okay, we are so proud about many of our Indian in the IT field, which I'm familiar with, having become big CEOs. Nadella, you take out. Okay, you're talking Pichela. What are they? They're all just executives. They're employees. That's all. All said and that. They're not the real thing. They're not the one who develop products. They're not the ones who develop Microsoft, right? They're managing very beautifully. This lady we talk about, MC, what is it? Pepsi Cola thing. We make so big issue of it. What did she say? Surely use knowledge to market Pepsi Cola, poison. That's all. So they're not thinkers at all. That's what I try to tell them. So you will make an impact only you can think freely on your own. Whatever you learn in class, whatever I teach in class is good, important if you use that to understand and start thinking on your own. Tomorrow's world is totally different, right? When I started my career as an electronics engineer, computer science was not a different subject, it's part of electronics. But as I went through MBA, I liked programming, I started programming. Today, when I even talk about IT architecture, even today when I consult, my programming languages have absolutely no use.
They are no use.
Things are totally different, absolutely different. How does it matter by remembering all that? It doesn't really matter.
Sir, but it matters. I'll tell you how it matters.
As you're thinking, because I'm thinking better. Now I can.
Your
when you say
thinking approach. See,
exactly.
the difference
That's what I'm
between the computer engineer of yesterday and today fundamentally happens in this way. Yesterday's computer engineer had to work at the component level to understand how it works. Okay. Now, today what has happened is a component has become a functional unit. So he doesn't know what is inside.
Absolutely right. In fact, not only that, when I started writing program, I had to remember the memory is so costly. I had to remember which register number in which a particular variable went.
Exactly. And
Okay.
you also had the structure such that you had to go and tell this fellow, hey, I have left it in that particular box. You go and pick it up from there and carry on.
Yes.
Your start IO and end IO.
I had to put a register number to back it.
Registers. Yeah. Not only that,
No,
you have to talk to each component. When intelligent cards started coming in, we had to sit behind the computer, put a connector, put your oscilloscope on one end, and the other end is you've got a screen. You're directly talking to the chip. And in assembly language.
I started writing programming when there was no monitors. Though I used to type in using a Hindustan teleprinter on a paper tape.
That is also there.
use a console and load it and load it on. That's how I started.
Correct.
Today, I bluntly told software seniors after, you don't know what programming is, period. I tell them. You have no
Sir,
idea
it
what
is very
programming is.
correct. See, yesterday I was talking to a second-year computer student, computer science. I said, can you explain to me how your PC boots?
Booting, okay. You know.
Mm.
Correct. You are absolutely right.
Earlier, we had to
Sir,
study it
then
in so
she
much
says,
detail.
Sir, give me your number, I'll come to your house and understand this. Because,
True.
see, the computer, interestingly, it is very important for us to take cognizance of this fact. The computer, the way it works, how many of you read Amar Chitra Katha? There is one character in that which is known as Supandi.
Mm.
Right? Supandi is represented by a flat head.
Mm.
That means brain missing. Right? We used to take an example of Supandi to explain how a computer works. Iska programming kya hai? You have to tell him how to go to the market and get some vegetables for you. You will tell him and he will listen and stand there only. You have to then tell him, go into market is equal to subroutine 1. You have to walk straight. All those things. That is program. That used to be the way we were asked to think. But today, because that is not available to them, they are not able to visualize that. That has become unmanifested for them.
Very popular book, IIT Kanpur, Dr. Raja. You must have Dr. Raja.
Rajaram. Dr.
Rajaram.
Rajaram, yes.
He's IIT Kanpur, head of the department of computer science. So
Correct. And
he
he
had
had actually
discussed-
visited our Bhopal Engineering College, MACT. We had a meeting with him. He gave a lecture to us.
I have had the opportunity of sitting as a co-panelist in on thesis that way.
He
Though
was
I
a
was much
great
younger.
thinker.
Yeah, so I have had the opportunity of being with
But
him
he
as
was
well.
also involved with, I think, Sunray Computers or one computer company he was involved with.
When Indians was this was not Sun. I'll tell
No,
you.
not
what it's
Sun,
called,
sir.
sorry.
The Silicon Graphics company in India, which started with the AutoCAD and all those things. Just before that,
Yes.
that was in
forget.
Hyderabad actually.
No, why I brought Rajaraman was he wrote his book was popular was how to write a computer program or computer program.
Programming.
Nothing to not micro, just how to write. Concept of program, nothing to do with language. Nothing to do. Fortran 4 was a popular language, nothing to do with Fortran 4. It was
And
how to
the other
program
one
a
that
computer.
Rajaram ka, what we were exposed to was the microprocessors.
That is CPM, control
Correct.
processor. What is that?
CPU.
CPM, control program for microprocessors.
Correct. ठीक है, तो आगे बढ़ते हैं.
Anyway, this chapter
Right?
ends.
Thought से कहाँ पहुँच गए हैं? Right? So those
Yes.
are the things that get manufactured and they keep coming back to us. This is the generation process.
No, the beauty of
Actually,
it is
10:40. We will stop.
he has taken this whole chapter to ultimately explain. Yeah, no. What is beauty of this chapter? Taken the whole chapter and ultimately explain what thought is. That is what matters, and how thought works. This takes you the rest of the chapters, right?
No,